You just press play on the Last Breath Huntcast, home of the Huntroversy. We're here to entertain, educate, and engage. And in case you didn't know, you only live once. But if you do it right, once is enough. Don't waste it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 61 of the Last Breath Huntcast. Congratulations. The wait is over. We've waited long, hard days to finally be able to do the thing that we love, and that is deer season. Deer season is officially here. Our opening day in Illinois was October 1st, which was this past Thursday. It is Monday morning. Happy to be with you here on maybe a drive to work, maybe a drive to the stand, but looking at the weather forecast in the next couple days, I'm guessing that you guys are probably out in the tree right now because there is a massive cold front that is hitting the Midwest currently. But I'm sitting across from Garrett, and we have three main topics we're going to run through today. And this is not going to be a very long hunt cast, but it is going to be a hunt cast nonetheless, chock full of information. So this is just a reminder that every Monday morning you can listen to our hunt cast, a brand new episode on Libsyn, Spotify, iTunes, or you can watch this video hunt cast on YouTube. At 6 p.m. So our topic today, we're going to go over our first two sits of the Illinois archery season, which have been Thursday and Friday evening. You can take Thursday, I'll take Friday, and then we're going to run down our trail camera hit list for the year, what deer you and I are going to be specifically targeting, and any movements that they've been happening to have lately, and finally your elk hunt, which you are going to be leaving on today. So this is lots of things to cover, so let's go ahead and run through the first day of archery season. You can go ahead and take us through Thursday evening.
Oh, yeah. And this is going to be a good podcast. It's going to be short, sweet, to the point, but there's a lot of stuff we got to cover. So I guess we'll rewind the clock a couple days to Thursday, October 1. And like most of you, or probably all of you, you either are restricted by work or by school. And if you were able to get out like we were, it was a Rochambeau Hail Mary hunt where you slipped into the stand because the daylight savings hasn't hit. And that's exactly what we did. October 1st, we decided to hunt over our food plot that we had planted. Even though this farm that we're hunting, it's like our bread and butter farm, it does not have a deer we're going to target. Does not. It's still recovering from EHD last year, but really, we're on doe patrol.
Yep.
Put on the badge, and we were looking just to get an arrow red. So we had the wind. The wind was right, and it's actually raining a little bit. That's why we opted to hunt out of the blind, and it was actually really good because we got to see the entire field. You know, with stands right now, they're so green. You got your windows. And you can see like 50-yard circle, and then after that, you know, really all the foliage, at least in our woods, is so dense and thick you can't see out of it. So we got into the blind, and
what time do we get in? We get on about 4.
Just before 4.
Yeah, just like 3:50 something.
Mm-hmm. Like I mean, okay. it was right before 4 because when we got all set up, situated, and cameras on, bows ready, it was right at 4 o'clock. And, I mean, right off the bat, we saw a coyote before we were even ready.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's something wrong with me because when I see a coyote, all morality goes out the window. So the camera's not even anywhere. Grant doesn't have like his bow, his sling, his NAP new archery products sling isn't even out the bow. And I'm like squeaking at this thing like I'm going to pull out my concealed carry and shoot the damn thing, which I might have if he got close enough.
Right.
But long story short, we had no opportunity at that because we just weren't ready. Had we been in the blind 5 minutes earlier, we would have definitely smoked that thing.
Or at least had a crack.
Yes.
You know, at least been able to put ourselves in a position where our weapon and camera were ready. So
right.
Yeah.
And shortly after, we had a group of deer come through. I mean, it was surprisingly early. We were thinking...
It was about 4:10.
Yeah.
4:15.
We'd gotten set up. We saw the coyote, and it was 20 minutes later, you know. A spike and a button buck came out, and then a big doe, like a nice... The one we wanted was like 12 yards from the stand, but on the wrong side of the stand. And we had all the time in the world. She was just chewing on this Whitetail Institute clover. You saw her first.
Yep, she was about, like you said, 12 to 15 yards just straight north of it, like straight north. So the way our blind is set up, we face directly east out of our big shooting window in the front, and then our 2 bow windows out the sides of our blind that we made are angled. And so we can shoot, I would not say 180 with a bow, but I would say about 135, 140 degrees with a bow. Our windows that are directly on the north and south side of the blind, they're kind of peak windows, and we can stick a gun out of them, but it would be hard pressed just the way we have to sit in there because they're 6x6 blinds to draw and shoot an arrow out of either of those windows. And they're smaller windows. We picked them up at Lowe's for like $50 a pop, or Menards or whatever, whenever they had that sale. And
they serve their purpose, just like you said.
We saw the deer out of it, and she was slowly like feeding right into the opening of the would-be northeast-facing vertical swing open bow window. So got the bow in hand. Garrett's ready. We can both see the deer. She's like at 13, 14 yards at this point after she's been feeding. And then, wouldn't you know it, one of those bucks, those spike bucks, came over and started messing with her, as they usually do on food plots in the early October. Spikes are always ready to rock and roll.
He was just being ornery.
Yeah, he wasn't doing anything, being spooky or anything.
He wasn't trying to
weird.
breed her or nothing. He's just a young deer being a young deer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it was too perfect. I was pushing back in the corner of the blind. I was like thinking, it's gonna be over the shoulder shot. Like, I'm gonna go wide because she's so close. Like, I'm gonna see him draw back and whap her like right here. And then this damn buck, which 4 years from now will probably be hit listing him, but come over and just was playing. Like, you could tell he was playing, doing the gallivanting kind of big leap jump. And
like a dog that's really excited to see you.
Another dog,
like that's kind of down on his front haunches and like wagging his tail, like getting low on his front shoulders and hopping around her and doing circles, and she just wasn't having it.
Yeah, they ran about 50 yards in the middle of the field, and that was the thing. She ran to in front of the blind. We're like, okay, we can still. She was like 20 yards.
Open the front window now.
Yeah. So now he opened the front window, and then she just turns and walks straight away. Just straight away. Not even like angled, like a quartering away.
If she had been angled, you could have
killed her. You could have killed her. And like, I'm filming her. I'm like, I'm just telling. I'm on her. And he's like reading ranges, because we need to turn the dial on the HHA after they get so far.
Yeah.
And she broke 40. I'm like, hey, shit. And then you're like 50, 56, and she she walked right in the middle of the food plot, stopped and ate. And then the button buck fawn came up, and she got up on her haunches and
kicked him away.
And they just fed for a while and worked out of range.
The only shot she gave us was the old Texas hard shot.
Yeah.
So that one was the one that got away there early on us. That was the opportunity that we were looking for to just, because we ourselves, I eat about 3 deer a year. You and Logan eat about 5 or 6 deer a year, which this year with your elk,
gonna have to trim that
not
number down.
Gonna have to shoot as many deer, because there's gonna be a lot of meat if you get one. But back to the deer, what happened after that?
The night was great, and I've been talking to, you talk to all your friends and your fellow hunters. I can't remember in my archery career having a better weather week, opening week.
No.
Nope. This has been amazing, and there's been some slammers killed. Absolute giants.
Oh, yeah, guess what? I heard that they green scored the deer from Alito.
And?
240.
Jesus Christ. That's so big. It's
so for those of you guys that don't live in Illinois, Iowa, Missouri, Wisconsin, that are really, really close to us, like people that are just listening to the podcast and aren't from our area is what I'm getting at. About 3 to 5 miles straight south of where one of Garrett and I's farms are, kind of by Alito, Illinois, there was a giant killed.
A mega giant. That's in a whole nother category, dude.
Yep.
And so we won't say where. It's really cool that Chase Burns, one of the guys you've had on the podcast, is an amazing habitat manager, but he's also a land broker, and he actually sold the farm which this deer resided on. Chase, when he was doing his initial photography of the property and walking it, actually found this buck's shed last year while doing the farm consultation and assessment.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of cool. We got to see it. Neither of us had any idea who this deer was. And we're like, wow, that's a really nice buck. And he had a couple tines broken, and he exploded.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would say that shed last year would have been, what do you think? He was 170, 175?
Yeah, I was thinking 175, 180 last year if he matched.
Yeah, I
and
haven't
wasn't
seen the
broken.
trail camera pictures or anything, but it was one of those sheds like, wow, this is a big deer. Not a mega big deer, but a big deer.
Like a no doubt shooter is what we call him.
So opening morning.
Yep.
Is it Zeke? Is that how you?
Zeke.
15 minutes into the hunt, shoots this mega giant. It's floating around Facebook all over.
We're hoping that you guys get to hear the story of it on the Whitetail Legacy podcast and their Legend of the Woods series. Fingers crossed. That's an amazing deer. Like, that is a once-in-a-lifetime caliber deer, so congratulations times infinity to you, Zeke, if you were listening to this or, you hear about this through the grapevine, but holy smokes, man, congratulations. That is incredible. And to get it done on opening morning of opening day.
Right.
And in Illinois, frickin' A, it's like everybody's been hunting for a month ahead of us or 2 weeks ahead of us. It's like we wait so long, and for him to whack it on opening day, and it's just like a 240-inch. It's like, it's nearly
heavy,
like...
tall,
oh, yeah. It's typical.
Got a flyer that drops off the back. I mean, he's got it all. Just
probably 12 tines on his head over 10 inches long, for real. If you see a picture of him, it's just unreal. Absolutely incredible. Back to our deer hunt. Sorry for the tangent.
No, we should have brought that up.
Yeah.
So, God, if I was that kid, I was joking. Like, I'd be fishing the rest of the fall.
Yeah.
I'm done. Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to go buy a bass boat and, yeah.
Or start coyote hunting early. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, to end that, we'll just say, you said a buck of a lifetime. That's got to be like a buck of
many
10.
lifetimes.
I mean, anywho. So back to our hunt. Nothing near as epic as that.
No.
But we had a phenomenal night. Again, mind you, this farm is recovering from EHD. We've invested a lot of time and effort because it was almost, we never want this to happen, don't get me wrong, but it was almost a godsend because we had such a big plan after having Chase Burns out, on what we wanted to do here. And I feel like if we would have had some mature deer in the area that was even living on us, we'd be almost hesitant to do it. Mm-hmm. But now, this last summer, it's like, well,
the young deer, that's all they'll know.
Yeah, like let's do it. So we went full tilt, and it was really cool to watch that work. Right. One of the big things that we saw that we had never really had established, but planted in the past was a good clover plot. And that every single deer that we saw, I'm not kidding you, every single deer that came out, we saw 14, went to the Whitetail Institute Imperial Clover and stayed there and gorged. I mean, gorged. And this is probably like a B+ grade food plot. There is some grass patches, and if you follow along with Last Breath Live, you'll see there we've got it killed and fixed up. But it's just crazy. We never had that on our farm. We do this year. We have beautiful big turnips, and those will come into play later. Mm-hmm. But as the night progressed, as I said earlier, we saw 14 deer, and several of them being some really nice bucks. Ones that we've been watching all summer. They're 3-year-olds, and then a handful of basket racks and other things. But it was really neat to see those deer that early, and we couldn't help but think, okay, these are the deer that we know are out here that are realistically top of the age class right now, and we couldn't help but think, okay, next year, maybe 2 years from now, when we have that age structure built back up, boy. A very early season whitetail might just a whitetail buck,
right?
Might be in the cards because the biggest 3-year-old that we had out here, we have yet to name him yet, but he's a 10-pointer. He's maybe about 15 inches wide.
Smaller G4s, those 1-2 inch G4s, not super developed yet, but probably 10-inch 2s, 9-inch 3s, kind of thing. Like
gorgeous young deer.
Yep.
And he can't, man, we were joking because if that deer was 4 or 5.5, he'd been dead. Dead. I mean, he did exactly what we wanted. He came out of the path, what we left open from the hinge cut, marched diagonally right through the clover at about 22 yards from the blind. I mean, like I said, if it had been him be older, we would have killed a buck
Opening
on
day
opening afternoons.
which we haven't done. We've killed some nice ones in October, but never an opening day buck.
No. So that wraps up our hunt. We had, like I said, we had a great time. We had deer close. We just couldn't kill the doe that we wanted to. And then after
all the other deer that were close to us were bucks of some sort. And, you know,
just off the list. And
not gonna wrap a tag out around a good old 11 pointer.
Yep.
A spike, but
yep. So that was it. And we did hunt last night even later because of work constraints. And you went and checked cameras, shuffled some stuff around, which was a phenomenal card pull.
Oh God.
For our other farms.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy what 2 weeks will do.
Mm-hmm.
That time from like that last bit of September to now.
Yes.
It's been very progressive, especially with seeing the deer establish their patterns a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll let you touch on that, but very condensed. Last night we did hunt. The winds had switched, so we went to a stand, and we saw a deer, but again, nothing really close. Nothing.
I think we saw about 6 to 8 deer last night. Kind of like you said earlier, we were kind of peeking and watching them bop in and out of the foliage just because of the nature of where we were. Every
single one of those deer in the clover again.
Yep, exactly.
Every single one of those deer. It'll be really interesting to see that time of year, whether it's a daylight thing or I'm thinking it's going to be more of a temperature thing, where they switch from that clover to one of the other types that we have out there. Because we're doing a bit of a case study here. We have several different blends of plots that are throughout this farm, and we did it because each seed blend really has a time where it's most palatable during the season. And if you can figure that out, you can make sure to put yourself in position over the right food at the right time. So this year it'll just be a really good learning experience for us to note that, monitor it, and it just helps us become even better in the years to come. But let's talk about that card pull yesterday. And I really want to, profess right now is the time to be proactive with your cameras. If they're not working, you gotta move it. You gotta change, because you need to get on these deer and you need to start taking notes and getting that data, because you don't want to be doing your homework in November. That's when you're taking the test.
That's when the test is happening. So yesterday, like he said, he was busy packing with Chris and getting the truck ready for Chris and Jeff and his trip to Idaho to go elk hunting. And so I went out to our other farm, the second main farm that he and I hunt, and checked a bunch of cameras, moved a couple mobile cameras around, put a semi-permanent blind on our wagon blind that we built, got that up, and freshened a couple scrapes. So as we went out there, the farm on the very south end is cut by a very predominant creek, river almost.
Yeah.
It's bigger than a creek. It's to the point where if it's flood season, it could be, 15 to 20 feet deep and 50 feet across. So it's not just a small little creek here that we're talking about. It's a big, it's almost to the point where if it's flowing steady and it's deep, a deer would, could they cross it? Yeah. But it'd be a struggle for them to cross.
Yeah, I mean, it's like one of those that's standard pool. I would say 24 inches deep.
Mm-hmm.
The channel is at standard pool.
Yeah.
Like, it's too deep to walk across with boots. And I bet standard pool, you're looking at, 15 feet at the bottom? But the ditches, I mean, the sides of this thing.
Yeah, very up and down, straight up. And, yeah.
So it's a cut.
But at that geography feature, if you will, kept Garrett and I from hunting on the south side of this farm last year. And so last shed season, when Garrett and I were out there, we noted where a couple big scrapes were that were still active, or still being used. Even we could see them in the snow in January, February. So Garrett dropped pins on his GPS app, and we went back there to hang a camera up. Would have been 2 weeks ago, and we're just we're going to put a stand over here, and we could have access to potentially a new herd of deer or a new list of bucks, or bucks that have been pushed out of the areas that we like to hunt. Maybe they come down here. And our number one deer last year, his name was Steven. He was not a deer that we got a crack at, but this is the farm in which we had 4 opportunities at bucks last year, and we ended up killing and tagging 2 of them. And Garrett and I were trying to find Steven, this deer, who's a mainframe 8 with a bunch of stickers, and stuff like that. We're guessing him to be, about 160 inches, 8-pointer. He's a really, really great deer. And we struggled to find him all year. He stripped his velvet, and then we moved a camera to the south side of that creek, and ultimately we ended up getting him on camera a bunch down there, and we believe him to be killed in gun season given the regularity of the trail camera data we had of him, and then he just kind of went poof, and we never got another picture after gun season. So we're believing that he was either killed or mortally wounded during gun season, and we don't have any more data with him. But that got us thinking about, okay, let's see if we can access any of these spots over here on the south side a different way to maybe put ourselves in position to hunt a deer that we do not know exists on the north side. And we did that, and we hung a camera up there, like I said, about 2 weeks ago, hung a stand up with the intention of having a south wind. It'd be a great spot for a south wind. We went and checked the trail camera card, and one of our number one, I would say our...
He isn't, no.
He's one of our top two hit listers, a deer we call Richard. So we'll get into Richard and Robert and how they have an important factor. But there's this buck called Richard who was a regular on that camera. So we're really glad that we hung that stand up. We also got, there is a standing alfalfa field on the property, and there was a ton of deer using it. So on the property, our age structure kind of looks like this so far, given the data. We have a pretty good pool of 3-year-olds. There's probably 3 distinguishable 3-year-olds. There's 3 deer that we believe are probably 4. Maybe one of them's a 3, and then there's 2 deer that we know to be 5, given when we hunted them last year. So our 2 5-year-old number one targets out there is a buck we call Robert and a buck we call Richard. Richard is a mainframe 8 since about 21 inches wide, and his brow tines are really cool. His brow tines actually curve out, and they're the most wide set brow tines I've ever seen.
Yeah, they're really high on his, or not high, but far
up his
from
beam.
the bases. Yeah, on his main beam. He's my number one.
Yeah,
even though he's not the biggest, I don't know. He's a 9-pointer. He does have that little G4, which he didn't have last year. Yeah. But Robert's the number one as far as size goes, and that thing. It was interesting to watch him change. Because last year, he really was like that mainframe 10.
Yep.
And we've had other deer do this. Geronimo did this exact same thing. Mm-hmm. Like his biggest set of antlers, he went from a 10 to an 8. But, man, Robert is a hammer. He is 21, 2 inches inside spread. Very similar.
Probably 14-inch G2s, foot-long inch G3s. Yeah. He's a giant.
He's a giant. He's got that one little cheater point on the inside.
Yep.
But, yeah, he's a hell of a deer. And last year he was a deer that was really frequent. We saw him during gun season. To say that we passed him is true. Grant did have a shot at him. It just was less than ideal. And given the fact that we knew he had potential and that the situation would have been further than really what you want on a rushed shot. Not that he was running, he was cutting across the field and he wasn't getting any closer.
On a steady walk.
We had time to calculate it. Like, he's this far. I am rested.
Probably not a good opportunity.
This is not a good decision, right?
No.
And I'm glad we did, because now,
he's a giant.
We have the ability to hunt him this year. So those are number 2 and number 1 hit listers are Robert and Richard. And
then we have a couple 4-year-olds. One we call Reese's, about 100 and upper 130s, low 140s as an 8. It's got very nice brow tines. We're starting to think that brow tines are the good genetics. Last year, this farm that Garrett got us is the first year we hunted this farm last year. So the volume of bucks, I think we counted it the other day. There was 9 what we consider to be shooter bucks that we saw over the course of between October 25th and November 15th use the property. And we intimately knew about 6 of them. And there's a couple other 4-year-olds that one of them we intimately know as well. Last year, we just called him the 3-year-old 10. We didn't have any creative names for him or anything like that. But this year, we call him Chachi, and he's got about 13 points. So we went from mainframe 10. He's got now a split brow, an inside cheater point between his G2 and his brow on his right side, and a little dagger point on his left. And he's just heavy. He's not the tallest deer on earth, but his main beams are like railroad tracks, man. They're super, super heavy.
Yeah.
And one of those deer, when you see him from the side profile, you're like, yep, mature for sure. So he'll be a hard deer to pass, but if we do, I believe he'll be a absolute giant next year.
Yeah. I'm not going to kill him.
So yeah, that one's gonna test me pretty good with a bow. I hope that when and if we see him, you have your bow and not me.
I think he's like that wide.
Yeah, he's not super wide.
No, he's like 15 inches wide.
But he's heavy.
Yeah.
But he's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll put a picture on the video podcast, and you guys can go judge for yourself if you think he's 3/4. And we'll let the votes roll in. But yeah, that's the hit list rundown on that farm. Our EHD farm, we do have 2 4-year-olds that we have been getting with some fair regularity. A deer we call Hope, who I found the shed off of last year, and a deer we call TJ, who is an absolute rock star of a deer. But we manage that property for 5-year-olds, so we're going to lay off of them this year, and hopefully, we've had some conversations with our neighbors, and everybody hopefully is on board with not taking either one of those 2 deer out, because they're going to be absolute giants next year if they live. So that's kind of our trail camera rundown. And then yesterday we moved a bunch of mobile cameras around. So we moved one over a natural scrape. We moved one over a stand that we currently have hung for a northerly wind, any really type of northerly wind. And then we set a mobile, and that's what Garrett was talking about earlier, when, it's getting to the point of the year where if you've got a camera that was at a prominent location that's just not firing and not getting pictures,
move it.
Cameras are too valuable of a resource for you to just be sitting out there getting squirrels and does and shooting
just
blanks.
Not producing.
Yeah.
Not producing.
We moved them, bunch of them.
What do you think? Like 2 weeks typically, if there is not good data, it's getting plucked.
Yeah.
You don't want to cut it short. You leave it out for 4 days like, there's nothing on here. No. You got to let it soak for a little bit. I'd say this one that we're debating on moving, it's going to be week 3, and if it still doesn't work, she's gone.
Yep.
Not gone. She's going somewhere else.
Yeah, but a good example of that would be we hung a camera over a natural scrape. We hung it 4 weeks ago. Garrett and I hung it over the perimeter of this alfalfa field, and we put a modem on it. We freshened and installed a mock scraper right next to it, and for the first 2 weeks, we did not get a deer. I believe over the age of like 2. It was spikes, does, stuff like that. And then when I pulled the card yesterday, we took the mobile off of it because it wasn't producing, shifted it to somewhere else. But when I checked it yesterday, every single deer that was 4 or 5 that we have on that property was on that camera, which just goes to show you that's an amazing turnaround. And it's crazy to think, just how how the time of the year influences deer and their activity. And there was a couple of 4-year-olds I was talking
with daylight.
Flirting with daylight. A couple of them were tussling
7:10, 7:15,
7:10 right after.
They're moving during shooting hours, and they're getting the camera just after.
Yep, which leads us to believe that 1 or 2 of them are bedded
close
on our property.
Right.
So that's pretty cool to know. And now we just have to figure out Richard. And we did get him with a lot of regularity on our trail cameras, specifically between the 27th and the 1st when I pulled him yesterday. He was on a bunch of cameras, probably 5 cameras in that 4-day stretch. And so now when he gets back from his elk hunt, we're going to go to the drawing board, go to the dry erase board, take my little notepad with all the winds, the temperatures written down on him, and we're going to try to figure this deer out and get him killed, hopefully before rut. So
that'd be badass.
That'd be awesome. But that's pretty much our trail camera rundown and what we got moving and shaking. I'm going to be taking about the next week off and hopefully look at my phone every time I'm in school to see if I get a picture of an elk come through that you've killed. I know Matt and Jesse are going hunting tomorrow, so we'll see what they come up with. Is Logan going hunting tonight?
She is not.
Not going hunting tonight?
Yeah. She wants to, but, just family obligations. She's got some other things she's going to do. She'll be going out tomorrow and hunting, both in the morning and the evening, it sounds like. So it's still good. I mean,
sweet.
Gonna be a rock star.
Yeah. So this Last Breath Live, the coming video that we're going to put on our YouTube channel on Wednesday, will show you the hunt that we're talking about, in which we hunted over our food plots and saw those deer. on the 1st and the 2nd. And the Last Breath Live after that, there's no question on what that's going to be. And that is if Garrett and Jeff and Chris can go out and pull it off. And even if they don't, I'm sure they're going to get some badass footage. That's going to be their elk hunt. So you're not going to miss that one. So mark your calendar for 2 Wednesdays from now. That's going to be a sweet episode of Last Breath Live. And we're really excited to show you guys in-season content as it happens. So hopefully as the season rolls along and Matt and Jesse start piling up bucks and Logan, Jeff maybe kill one and Garrett and I do. I mean, we're going to try to get it cranked and turned around as quickly as possible. And we have a very big announcement that we're going to make probably next podcast about some things that we're going to be doing in a series we're going to be developing with our friends at the Whitetail Legacy podcast moving forward in November. So that's going to be huge. And it's going to be something that you guys are going to hopefully really enjoy. Our last topic of today, Garrett, is your elk hunt. So any last words before your elk hunt? Are you feeling nervous? What are your emotions right now? Are you excited? Feeling a little anxious?
Definitely anxious. I mean, as we talked in the episode where we covered it, it's here, dude. We're leaving. We're getting ready to go, shove off. And right now it's just the mental strain, which I've already done it and done it again. I'm a list guy. I made my checklist, my pack list, everything. I pulled the cash out today. It's at a point where I think when we officially shove off, there's no sense to worry anymore.
Right.
You're there. So then it's time to I've got 2 days of driving and 22 hours to lock my ass up, get my mind right, get ready, and go. It's I don't know. The last 2 weeks seem to come and go really fast. All summer long as I was training and getting ready and gun and the bow and all that stuff. It's like, okay, it's coming. And then it's like, wow, it's here. It's freaking here. So
yep.
I'll be excited. A couple things that are rare is, we're hunting on the mountain. Like we're not coming back to a lodge. Like it's camp. So we've got some DeWalt adapters, the 20 and 60 volt DeWalt batteries. I have a couple adapters I can slip on to convert their power to, like an outlet. But I will really be off grid. Phone's going to turn on to send out like, I'm a still alive text and then maybe hopefully a picture.
Yeah.
And that's it. All of those batteries being a glutton of the experience, those DeWalt battery converters are going to use to charge our camera batteries.
Yep.
I've got 6 batteries and those got to make it 6 days.
Yeah.
And there's going to be
they'll do it. They'll make it.
So, I don't know. A couple things that I do want to say is like, at my day job, I know there are some diehard listener followers. So Bob Parker, if you're listening, or Brent Landowski, I'll fill you in when I get back. Trust me, I will. I know I won't be able to help you out with any of your lumber needs while I'm gone, but those are 2 guys that I know listen to this podcast, and I'll fill you guys in when I get service again. But as far as that, you will be number 1 to know.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to tell my dad, and then I got a list after that. So it'll be you, Dad, Logan, the team text, and then I'll let like Shane Jones know, Robert Hawk out in Colorado, the Sandy Hills guys know, and then go from there. So
yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. It's here.
Well, the next time we podcast, it's probably going to be about your elk hunt. So we'll probably record another podcast a week or 2 from today.
Of heartbreak or triumph.
Yeah, a week and a day or 2 is what I meant. Not a week or 2. About 7, 8, 9, 10 days from now, we'll record another one. And hopefully you got about 2 or 3 really good stories to share on here about how you guys whack some big-ass bulls. But that's pretty much it for this podcast. We wanted to keep it short and sweet. And the next one hopefully is going to be incredible. And check out those Last Breath Lives every Wednesday. We're putting something new up on our YouTube channel, and you guys aren't going to want to miss it. Before we get off here, wanted to remind you guys that we have discount codes in the Last Breath Inner Circle. That's our Facebook group that we created. We keep it strictly positive in the Last Breath Inner Circle. There's no bitching, otherwise we kick you out, because we believe in our minds that it's there's too much of that crap. There's too many like little passive aggressive memes and gifs and backhanded shit that goes on between outdoorsmen. So we keep it positive in there. And if you want to be a part of that, then just look up the Last Breath Inner Circle. That's where we keep all of our discount codes for our friends and stuff at in there. And post before anybody else. So
the
when
community
we kill deer
is awesome. Just like what you're saying. I mean, there's been some guys in that group, our followers, that have had success, and man, everybody badass, great shot, da 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 da. We don't sell you shit in there. We're not pushing products that we endorse. I mean, the discount codes are sincerely there to save you money. We got some really phenomenal codes. A new one is the Wayne Tompkins code.
Yep.
$50 off your mount. Pick it up at the launch party.
BFD20.
I'll give you guys can guess what that stands for. Big
F***ing deer.
20. But yeah, I don't know. If I do kill a bull, or one of us does, and we get service, that will be the first place that publicly gets notoriety, is the Inner Circle. It'll be the number one place that it goes. Yep,
exactly. So in the Inner Circle, we got a 25% off of all Badlands gear, 20% off and free shipping with code BLUE. So if you guys want to get the mock scrapes going, order that stuff quick. All of ours are in the ground right now, and there's a lot of bucks that are starting to really frequent them. So, and we also have a 35% off code for anything Outdoor Edge. Every Saturday on our YouTube channel, we have our newest episode. As this airs, our newest episode was last year when I made the biggest mistake of my 2019 archery season. It's truly amazing how, just an inch or two will play into, archery truly being a game of inches and a buck we call Harold. So hopefully that's a story that Garrett and I can share with you and write the final chapter to this year. And every Sunday, we're still rolling on the image autopsy. And we've got a big series that, like I said, with the Whitetail Legacy podcast, it's going to be coming out on our YouTube channel in November. I'm not going to say anything more than that because I'm too excited about it. And then every Wednesday, we've got our Last Breath Lives. Every Thursday, we're releasing a Throwback Thursday episode on our YouTube channel. So we've saved all of our big bucks for right now. You guys should definitely check those out. So that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for listening to the Huntcast. Any last words before you go on your elk hunt, Chief?
Work hard, hunt smart, and stay humble.
All right. See you guys next time. Don't waste it.